What does wealth look like in 2022? How much are people earning, and what would it take for you to be in, say, the top 10%? Let's find out. These insights are brought to you by the mushroom of monetary acuity. Here's the picture using three samples. The USA, which is still the world's wealthiest nation, Great Britain, which hovers around 5th or 6th, and a look at Africa and emerging areas of that kind, using South Africa as an example. If you're in the United States, average annual wages right now look about like this. To be in the top 1% of wage earners, you have to be earning $823,000 per annum. To get into the top 5, which is still way up there, $342,000. And now we get to a more interesting category here, because the top 1% and the top 5%, these are astronomical. These really are the kinds of people who are doing something very unusual and very specific. But to get into the top 10 is perhaps a more realistic goal. And in the United States, that means earning somewhere around 170,000 US dollars per annum. That puts you into the top 10%. Now, naturally, all of this is salary. There are other options. So, for example, you could be Kanye West, who is the world's wealthiest musician of 2022, according to Forbes magazine. But what we looked at there was measured by salary. You may have other assets, money in the bank, or perhaps property, things of that nature. To be smack on the median net worth line in the United States would mean that you would have $121,000 in assets. Now, that's assets minus liabilities. Get rid of all of your debt, and that's what you have left. To be solidly average, the amount is 121,000 US dollars. Now, of course, that varies dramatically by age. If you are starting out building your wealth, that picture doesn't apply to you. That's because people on the other end of the age spectrum are throwing that number by an order of magnitude. So don't worry, that's just the median average line. A couple of other interesting points from the United States. Black and Hispanic families had incredibly strong gains in median net worth between the years 2016 and 2019. They went up 30% and 64% respectively. It's almost as if some extraordinary policies worked like a bomb between 2016 and 2019. If you have a 4-year college degree, you are likely to have a median net worth more than 4 times that of someone with only a high school diploma. That's worth looking at, but there are factors to bear in mind. The highest debt in the United States is also student loans, so that's worth sort of bearing in mind there. Nevertheless, 4-year college degree, you're likely to have a median net worth more than 4 times that of someone who doesn't. How many millionaires and billionaires? The total population for the USA at the moment is about 330 million, and the number of millionaires is somewhere around 23 million of that, and the number of billionaires is about 800. Of those, almost all are first-generation business owners. That should be a ping in your mind. That's important. Unsurprisingly, as I said, wealth goes up exponentially as people get older. So in the United States, people in their 60s have on average 3 times the wealth of people in their 30s, and much more than that when you compare it to people in their 20s and teens. So keep earning, save even modestly, and your total wealth will go up dramatically over time. That's not accounting for runaway inflation. And that's the sort of thing that could happen if, for example, you shut down your pipelines, you shut down world economies, and then you decide to become dependent on Russia for all of your energy supplies again. But who would be stupid enough to do that? An interesting one, and in fact this is counterintuitive, on average, married couples with children have much higher average net worths in the United States than single individuals or than childless couples. You would have guessed the opposite, but it's not true. Not only is it not true, it's dramatically untrue, at least on average. Oh, a warning if you pursue this sort of information. I came across the phrase several times, how net worth is distributed. Net worth is not distributed. That is false. That makes it sound like someone handed it out unfairly. It is simply not true. And that error, which plays on 2 meanings of the word distributed, has massive political and ethical ramifications. This is a snapshot of what is. You are looking at how things are distributed according to a snapshot in time. It does not mean that we are talking about a moral seminar on how resources were handed out. Here's another. The richest 10% of the global population currently takes 52% of global income. No, they don't. That's the wrong word. That is false. They generate that much, and that is a very, very big difference. They don't take it. It's not a finite pool from which they are withdrawing. In the majority of these cases, remember that most millionaires and billionaires are first-generation business owners. So in almost all of these cases, these people are generating that income by making and selling new things, every single instance of which was deemed a voluntary and worthwhile interaction on the part of freely acting buyers, many of which weren't even people, they were other businesses. Get that wrong because of the terminology, and you become an angry Marxist and burn down Portland. Revolution! The top 10% in the US is very well educated. You are most likely to land in the top 10% of this into that group if you have a postgraduate degree. If you do not have a 4-year college degree, you're least likely to be in the top 10%. Now that can be a little misleading. Wealthy tradespeople can and do earn significantly higher than the median average. But they're not necessarily in the 10%, the 5%, or the 1%. So don't misunderstand this one. By taking up a trade, by doing something of that nature, a plumber, whatever the case might be, you can become very wealthy, just not Elon Musk wealthy. So keep that one in a proper perspective. Right, let's jump the pond. The average UK salary is £31,770-ish, and that varies massively with age and occupation. So if you are starting out, you're in your 20s and 30s, and you're not earning £31,000, don't worry, that is also factoring in people who are much older, much more experienced with you. It's merely an average. You'll still earn more in London than anywhere else in the UK. Your average weekly wage across the UK is £611. Again, if that's not you, don't worry, there are other factors at play here. It's just the average. The average net worth per person in the UK is £172,000. That's your assets minus your liabilities. UK wealth, household wealth, has tripled in the past 20 years. I'm going to say that one again. UK household wealth has tripled in the past 20 years. When it comes to wealth, the UK is doing something right. Not that you would know it if you watched the news. Doom! The average UK worker earns £1.1 million over the course of their lifetime. That's an average. The highest paid jobs in the country belong to chief executives and senior officials. But there's one thing there again that you should bear in mind. This is employment. Owning your own business remains the greatest wealth generation formula. Most living millionaires and billionaires, first generation wealthy, they started their own companies. The second highest earning jobs belong to legal professionals in the UK. Third place are marketing managers and sales directors, and the average earning there is somewhere around £1,652 per week. That's followed by brokers at about £1,613-ish per week. People over 65, not surprisingly, have the highest net worth in the UK. What's the average net worth for the UK? Once again, be careful with averages. It is dramatically distorted by age. If you're in your 40s or 30s, don't even worry about these numbers. When you start to get to 50 and 60, they go upward, they trend upward in a hurry. And that happens on average. So don't worry. What's the average net worth in the UK? £172,000. All your assets minus all your liabilities. To be in the top 10% in terms of net worth in the UK, you must have 10% of the top 10%, £176,000. To be in the top 25, top quarter-ish, you're looking at £76,000. If you'd like to see that in salary terms, the top third of earners in the UK have a combined household income of $118,000, which is about 94,000 quid, 94,000 pounds sterling. That puts you in the upper third in Great Britain. To be in the top 10%, your household income is $173,000, or about £138,000 combined household income. Switching to Africa. In Africa, South African citizens have the greatest combined wealth at a total of 651 billion. That's followed by Egypt and then Nigeria. South Africa, Egypt, Nigeria. Egypt has the most billionaires. However, and it's more than any other African nation, but South Africa has the wealthiest cities, Johannesburg and Cape Town, and the most millionaires, though not billionaires. Now, here's a frightening stat. wealth in South Africa has actually declined by 12% over the past 10 years. Whatever policies are in action there are not working. They are going in the wrong direction. 10 years rather, a 12% decline in total wealth. That's a frightening statistic. To be a high net worth individual in Africa, you need to have a private wealth of $1 million or more. In rand terms, that's currently about 16 million rand. And that qualifies you on a global scale as a high net worth individual. There are currently 136,000 such high net worth individuals living on the continent of Africa, dispersed mostly South Africa, Egypt, Nigeria. To be in the richest 1% in South Africa, you would need a net wealth of around 4.2 million rand. That puts you into the top 1% in terms of net wealth. Average net wealth of the 1%ers, the people who fall into the top 1%, is actually more than that. You would get into that bracket with 4.2 million, but the average there is actually about 22.5 million. So that's the average for the top 1% in South Africa. If you want to do it by salary, you would need to earn around 152,000 rand per month. That's about 2.3 million rand per annum, and that would qualify you, again, as a high net worth individual in South Africa. Next, if you earn more than 1,149 rand per month, then you earn more than half of the country. So, half of South Africa is earning less than 1,149 rand per month. If you have a salary of 7,313 or more per month, you are in the top 10% in South Africa. And I'm just doing this by salary. If you own a home or other assets, again, that pushes you further up. That's a different equation. But okay, by salary. So if you earn over 7,300 per month, you're already in the top 10% of South Africa. If you earn more than 15,000 per month, you're in the top 3% of South Africans, income-wise. And if you earn 48,753 or more, then you fall into the 1% of highest earners in that nation. Now, worth remembering, and this is quite important for wealth builders, none of this accounts for artists, pop stars, actors, best-selling authors, and most importantly, business owners. These profiles, when successful, shoot straight to the top of all of these demographics. And of course, these are harder and braver paths, and there are much fewer individuals who do this. There are also anomalies like the young YouTube stars earning in the millions in dollars in their 20s.
Yay!
But that's just a quick snapshot, and it gives you a sense of orientation in terms of a global picture of what wealth is looking like right now, what's roughly average in certain places around the world, and what constitutes a top 10% performer. How do you get to that top 10%? The most direct path is to own your own money-generating machine, or in other words, start your own business. It is not easy to do, they fail often, but when they work, they put you into a totally different demographic. However, if you're going the salary route, if you're going the career route, and advancing up those scales, which the numbers show absolutely can be done, then watch this video next on how to raise your value.